Let us call this meeting to order. Welcome and thank you all for being here for the meeting of the Office of Economic Development and Tourism. First item will be roll call. Sean Hewitt.
Here.
Pat Mosby.
Here.
George Ann Sneed. She is absent. Kim Sorensen. Kim is absent. John Stone here. Richard Tugman.
Here.
Sackett Wood. Sackett is absent. Approval of minutes for the April 18th meeting. Those minutes are in your Dropbox package. Any comments before I accept a motion to approve those minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda will be the appointment of a nominating committee.
Okay, so everybody on here almost is an officer except for Sean and Sackett. So Sean, I'm gonna ask if you and Sackett would, and I will walk you through all of this, would serve on the nominating committee. And I will take care of Sackett. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sackett and abstention.
Yeah.
Budget review.
Okay, so I don't have the budget yet. I'm working with Brown Edwards and they got me something yesterday, but you know, Keisha and I are walking through this without Anna, who handled it for a really long time. And so I certainly can put something together, but I'm trying to put it together in a way where we are being consistent with the items that we're using to put in there. And then I'm running all that by Brown Edwards. So I'll have a draft that I can circulate with all of you all before the next meeting.
Thank you. Any questions on budget? Staff report?
And after the staff report, we're gonna go into closed session. Okay, so we have two grants, and I know Keisha and Clayton are probably very excited that they're in their final stages. I think what we are waiting on now is for the Ivy Creek side of the house, we're waiting on comments back from Water Resources on the what's been presented by the engineering firm. And on the Go Virginia, the Airport Commerce Park, we had a traffic study done, and that traffic study has had some questions and some things that might require additional spending that's outside of the grant scope. So where we are right now with that is we've asked for an extension on that to the end of July. And we are going to work with Andrew at the airport and with Go Virginia to see whether or not we believe, and Clayton and I met about this yesterday, we believe that based on the contract, we have met all the obligations of the Go Virginia grant.
For the airport.
Yeah. And so there wasn't anything, the traffic study was done, but we are just supposed to take the project from a tier 2 to a tier 3 in VEDP's world of site readiness. And that doesn't really require the traffic side of it. So, but more to come on that. So you all can read in your packet. Andrew, once again, is really doing a fantastic job on leads for the tourism side of the house, both sports and meetings and conferences and all that. He's been to, he was out of the office for probably about 2 weeks. We are continuing to work with site selectors and developers as well as prospects on master brand, the master brand building and KDC1. I think one of the things that probably going to occur is master brand building had a showroom on the front side of that building. And they, a manufacturing concern is probably never gonna use that again, so we're looking at perhaps getting that subdivided and another use for that. So we are working with, community development and a potential buyer for that site. Project Range continues to move forward. The city of Lynchburg is gonna be hosting the Virginia Brownfields Conference in June. That'll probably be about 150 people coming here for that. And so we'll kind of be the host for that, both on the tourism side and on the Brownfields EPA, as well as Virginia, that the projects that we have had here. And so we are very excited about that. And
Where's the actual conference held?
it's gonna be held at the Virginian. They held it I think they held it in Danville last year out at the Institute of Advanced Research and Learning. And then we did tours. It was really quite good.
What's max you can hold when you're going around trying to get conferences to come here? What's the max that any of the hotels or someone can hold here? Is it
I think
150?
I think it's much more about, and the number that kind of sticks in my head is I think the sweet spot may be around 300 to 400, something like that. So it all depends on, like downtown, you really can, if they're up for it, because it's walking distance, you really can put people in the Lynchburg Grand, the Virginian, and the Craddock Terry. And it's just meeting room space, and they all try to work with each other in terms of breakout rooms and different things like that. I mean, the Grand obviously has a much bigger, space there if you were to need that, but in many cases, they may gather people once, but then the Academy also offers space like that. And then the other hotels that are out there are all, open if people wanted to stay there. But that's the thing we struggle with the most, is just that conference, that conference space. And like you just said, all those hotels out there, they are close to each other, but you probably would want to get in a car to go from one to the other. Okay, and we are working with videographers and photographers to try to update all of our images that we have, not only on the economic development side, but primarily on the, placemaking, quality of life, tourism side. We need an update on all of those things to even, participate, whether it's online or whether it's in a magazine ad. So I think we just finished we're doing an ad in Blue Ridge Outdoors for the 10 miler, really trying to leverage these legacy events. We don't have a lot, but we're really trying to take those and try to attract people, to come here to participate in those. And more Giles Sackett and his team has been unbelievable to work with on that side of it as well, trying to expand all of that. So the local redevelopment grant, I think we have a record number of people that have applied for that were eligible to apply for that grant. So we'll be turning that around shortly. We've had meetings with, of course, Framatome, which we meet with probably on a weekly basis. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. And we've been working with community development. We've taken the lead on a couple of the brownfield grants the brownfield grant, the EPA brownfield grant that we've gotten. We've kind of focused that inward on city properties that we might want to do an RFP on, or, get them back on the tax rolls in some kind of way. So, or whatever. So we have, I think there are 3 properties that we're looking at assisting in terms of getting a phase 1 and a phase 2, which that is environmental assessments. The grant that we have is very specific, and it doesn't allow us to do remediation. It just allows us to do excuse me, the phase 1 and the phase 2 assessment. And then from there, we can do things like, we can do a structural analysis if there's a building involved, and we can do conceptual drawings. So that really can help you in terms of an RFP or in terms of getting a developer interested in the property. We had the Framingham groundbreaking. That was amazing. We've been back out and taking community development staff out to meet with them for parking. They've got to expand and it's not a place people drive out to unless you're going there, but it is unbelievable what they have broken ground and done. So they're like abutting the business development center, like right at it for what the dirt they're moving over there, and they're moving really fast.
Just remind me, where is that? That's at the front.
It's on Mill Ridge and it's right across from Scott, you know where
Okay,
Scott
there.
Insurance is,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
just cut down there.
Okay.
And so it's really interesting, Richard, because it's, you know, it's off to the side and you have the old Taylor Brothers is
Yeah.
up there on the corner. Then there's an auto repair shop that is located on a piece of property down there. Then you've got the Business Development Center. And then you've got Framatome. And then right there where Framatome's line is, you've got Piedmont Fleet, Lewis Lynchburg and all that.
Yeah.
And where Piedmont Fleet is, they've actually abandoned that road, and he's responsible for the road from his place down to the cul-de-sac, right? So it's really interesting how that's morphed over time. But we did a tour of Framatome and like walked the entire footprint of the building, and you just don't think, when you look at the front of it, you just don't think about how deep that thing goes.
Who's doing the
back.
work out there for them?
It's
WM Jordan.
Who are they? Are they local?
They're out of the Tidewater area, right?
Are they?
And I never knew it was back there. It's the first time I'd ever been down that side of town.
yeah,
It was amazing.
yeah, it's tucked right back in.
I've never been down there either, actually.
Yeah.
I never have.
Okay, so that is all I have there. And so a little bit more on Framatome. So we have John signed the performance agreement with VEDP. And then it has to be circulated. John signed first, then Framatome had to sign. The Framatome just did that. So I'm sure they will be inserting the date, and then it has to go up to the governor or to whoever VDP has to have sign it, and they'll circulate the copies back to us. So we're doing a separate performance agreement because we need a local performance agreement. And in the performance agreement, and this is very unusual, is that Framatome, because they report back up to France, they have actually got a graph on when they will be eligible for each piece of their incentive, because they have to justify all that with France. So they have requested, and I'm working on for them right now to go in our performance agreement, the ability for the city, the EDA, to pay them out in installments in like 24 and 25, because the VEDP part of it doesn't start until 26. Just by law, they can't. And so it will really be on, I know we don't like to do it, but it would really be on, verifiable headcount and capital investments. So the majority of everything that they are doing is going to happen in 24 and 25.
We'd be ahead of
Okay.
ahead of the reimbursement, so to speak,
Yes,
is what you're
we
saying.
would be ahead. Well, we would be, normally we wait till everything is absolutely finished.
Yeah.
And we do it completely on the back end once you've met all those agreements.
Yeah.
VDP normally, back in the day,
Yeah.
used to pay out on the front end.
Right.
And then we're collecting what we're responsible for getting with the company and making sure all those things are met. There's annual reports that are done now by VEDP to make sure, and they have so much more access on the employment side of it to the VEC data than what we have. So all of this will be verified, right? But because it's this one is over a 5-year period, the performance is over a 5-year period. that, and a portion, a large portion of the incentive to Framatome locally is the real estate rehab. So it's an abatement of
Real estate tax.
of real estate taxes on the net new, right? But there will be furniture, fixture and equipment, and there will be some machinery and tools, and they're adding people. So they've got a graph that I'm gonna copy, Cameron's gonna help me, onto our, performance agreement, and you'll just be able to see who's paying what all the way down the, down the line.
And that's
So-
within our authority to do that.
Yes, it's in your authority, not, you're taking your money and just saying, we are going to pay for what you have done
Mhm.
in 24 and in 25. We already have, what we've agreed to
Mhm.
in terms of an incentive based on the information they gave us. And any incentive we give them would be based on what we can verify.
Okay.
It'll just impact, it would impact, I'm gonna put that in the budget. Because when you all look at the budget, you look at all encumbrances, right? You know what, like if the apocalypse happened and somebody came and said, we need all of it. You see all of that, but you also see dates for what in any given fiscal year you're going to be asked to do, right? And so, Framatome has just asked that because VEDP cannot by statute pay anything in the first, 2 years, that we look at taking part of our incentive, all verified, and consider, giving them some of the incentive that we have, and we would hold the rest of it until the end. And they're presenting to, France, in.
It's strange to me that something like that is not within Framatome US's authority. I mean,
Yeah,
it seems like there's a lot of control there
yeah,
you wouldn't expect from a US subsidiary from a large organization.
yes. And there's also some other things happening over there right now, Richard.
You're very cryptic.
Yeah. Okay,
All right, thank you. So we do have an item for closed session, correct?
Yes.
We have 2 items for closed session. Someone needs to make a motion pursuant to 2.23711A3 of the Code of Virginia for discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose, or the disposition thereof, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. And Section 5, discussion concerning a prospective business or industry or the expansion thereof, when no previous announcement has been made.
So move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor of motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. We are in closed session.
A motion pursuant to 2.23712 of the Code of Virginia that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under this chapter of the code, and only such specific business matters as were identified in the motion to go into closed session were heard, discussed, or considered.
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor of said motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. So now I will accept a motion to distribute an RFP for Wigington Road property, subject to final review by our attorney.
So move.
Second.
All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you all. Any further comments, questions before we adjourn? We are adjourned.
Thank you very much. Thank you.